Hello, I'm Miroslav.
And I'm Warren, and welcome to What the Friday podcast.
In this episode, Finley has been speaking to Ruby from Invictus Wellbeing about normalising mental health.
Let's hear how they get on.
Hi, I'm Finley. Today we're going to talk about normalising mental health. I'm with Ruby from Invictus.
Hi, I'm Ruby.
Why are there so many young people afraid of being labelled if they have mental health issues?
I think so much of the issues around this are just based on stigma still around mental health. I think a lot of mental health is still seen as taboo, and young people may be just worried about being judged or misunderstood by other people.
Great answer. Is it normal to struggle with mental health even if you don't have any diagnosis?
Yeah, completely. I think that most people will experience mental health in their lifetime, just different types. Some people might be anxious, some people might have low mood. It's all just based on things that happen in your life. It's a normal experience. It's just your body reacting to things that have happened to you. It's completely normal, and you don't need to have a diagnosis to take care of your own well-being and mental health.
What does being labelled with mental health condition actually mean, and does it always have to be negative?
This one's a tricky one because it can completely depend on the individual. Some people seek a label in order to understand themselves better. It can be a positive step for some people like that, whereas for other people, they don't want a label. So I think with this one, it totally depends on the individual and whether they think they would like a diagnosis. I think sometimes actually having a diagnosis can open the door to the right support. The problem isn't the label, it's the judgment that can come with them, but we just need to try and get rid of this judgment. That's why it's so important to talk about mental health and normalise it.
How can we make mental health feel more normal to talk about with our friends and family?
Just starting conversations, really, checking in with your friends, with your family. I've found that direct language can be quite helpful, actually asking are you okay? Are you struggling with your mental health? I think a lot of terms in mental health, particularly when they're talked about in families, can kind of be a bit ooh, hush, hush. But actually just using the words mental health, using the word actually anxiety, low mood, these kind of things, being direct about it can get rid of some of the taboo and the stigma and just make it a bit more normalised. Especially if older members of the family, if they're from a different generation and they don't quite understand mental health. We can just educate as well. If you're interested in mental health, learn about it, teach your family about it, talk to your friends about it. The more we talk, the more normalised it'll become.
What should I do if I'm scared people treat me different if they find out I have mental health problems?
Choosing who you tell, it's your life, it's your choice really, who you tell, who you let in. This doesn't have to be public information if you're not comfortable. Most people that care about you will want to support you and check in and make sure you're okay. So I think the people that matter and are actually important to you, you shouldn't be scared about them treating you differently. And if people do treat you differently, then
They're not your friends,
I think that shows more about them than about you.
How can schools, friends or even social media help reduce the stigma around mental health labels?
Schools are quite good at the minute at teaching about mental health, just continuing this, having professionals in, having those lessons where you learn about mental health. Friends, again, just supporting each other by listening. No judgment, just listen to what they've got to say, support each other. Social media can be a tricky one because it can be used negatively, as we all know, but also it can provide a really positive platform. It can empower people, make people know that they're not alone. It gives people a place to share their stories. There also can be some useful information out there, but with social media, we do have to be a bit careful that we're not spreading misinformation or making jokes, that kind of thing.
What would you say to someone who feels like being labelled means they're broken or different?
Mental health doesn't define you. It's a part of who you are. It's a period that you're going through. It's just another part of being human. And I think if we all spoke up about it a bit more, a lot more people would realise that actually a lot of people go through these sorts of things. It's just really not openly talked about at all. If anyone's worried about being labelled, I'd just say you're not alone, for starters. Secondly, you shouldn't feel any different. I know that's quite hard, especially if you're in an environment where you're around people who may not understand. As long as you're seeking the support that you want and you need and you're looking after yourself, checking in with yourself, then that's all that matters.
How can someone start a conversation about their mental health if they're scared they're going to be judged for it?
Speak to someone you trust. The people that care about you will care about you no matter what, and if you do bring up these things, then often they will listen to you. I think especially with young people, it's important to note that people might not always know what to say. So maybe if the first time you speak to a trusted friend about it and they don't say exactly what you were hoping for, don't worry too much because you're both learning, I suppose. They're learning, it's the first time they've heard about it, it might be a shock to them too. So as long as no one's being hurtful or saying anything that's mean or that kind of thing, you can work through it together, you'll learn together. Just tell people that you care, who care about you, who you respect, who respect you.
Why is it important to normalise mental health issues, especially for teenagers?
I think it's so important to normalise this just to make the access that much easier. If people are scared of mental health because of all the stigma around it, they'll be less likely to access support. Whereas if we do normalise it and talk about it, then they will be a lot more likely to kind of access the support that's out there. The more we talk about it, the more it's known about, the safer everyone will feel to talk about it.
Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you've learned something and I hope you can start speaking about your mental health more often.
Thank you so much, Finley and Ruby and Warren, for producing. We hope you found that as interesting as we did.
Not only did they host the episode, but they also undertook all the research too.
You can find lots of interesting podcasts on a variety of subjects by exploring the useful podcast section on the Destination web app. Search destination.org.uk.
You can also find them on Apple, Spotify or YouTube.
If you would like to know more information about the subjects discussed, please check the podcast description.
We'd like to thank Invictus and the National Lottery for their support, Jimmy for editing and Youth Social for producing.